Okay, uh, I think we can start now. It is about time. Awesome. We have some people here in the audience, and this will be recorded, so it will be shared later. Essentially, this is a Cloudthread live session. We will be doing these sessions every month, sometimes even more frequent. And the sessions are intended to, you know, for us as Cloudthread to tell more about us, to discuss various topics on cloud cost management front, on the front of Cloudthread as a product, and how we actually working, to resolve the problems we see in the space. And today it will be somewhat short session, especially compared to last month's one when we were talking to Vitaly Bedasov from Align Technology. And okay, I getting the information that we can, like that people cannot hear me. Oh, no, I think everything is fine. Okay, I'm sorry for that. All is good. Okay, people can hear me. That's great, because I already told a bit. Would have been non-ideal. Anyways, it's great that everything is working. But yeah, I was just saying that today will be somewhat shorter session. I will try to keep it to 30 minutes. I know that it's like lunchtime on East Coast, like just the start of the day on West Coast. So yeah, I don't want to put it like an hour and a half, like last month's one, even though last month we had like an amazing discussion with Vitaly. And if you haven't watched it, I really recommend to look at the YouTube channel Cloudthread or here on LinkedIn. You can see that recording. Just to remind that last month we were talking about distributed cloud cost ownership with Vitaly from Align Technology, who has implemented this framework within his organization that has a lot of engineering teams and very pronounced problem of workflows existing between FinOps team, which Vitaly is part of and the head of, and multiple engineering teams. And that's something that Cloudthread really helps to streamline, right, and to work with. And essentially, we were discussing how and what distributed cloud cost ownership is and why it is important. So that was definitely an interesting discussion. This today's session will be some kind of follow-up to that. Let me share my screen with you. And just let's dive in. The major part of today's session is an actual demo of the workflow that can be created with Cloudthread, and I will showcase how it can enable the distributed cloud cost ownership model. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. I think we already tested it. I hope everybody can see it. Okay, everything should be working. Just very quickly, agenda. I will introduce myself, just super quick. Then I will reiterate what distributed cloud cost ownership is. We will again look into the concept very quickly. I will talk about why it is important, and then we will look into implementation details, focusing on Cloudthread's demo. So let's start with my intro. Hi everyone, again, I'm Ilya Semenov, and I'm co-founder and chief product officer of Cloudthread. And I'm also FinOps certified practitioner, and I've been within, FinOps domain for more than 10 years and been like very active member of FinOps landscape, participating in FinOps Foundation since its very early days, and trying, to drive various initiatives and in general to develop cloud cost management practice as a whole. Before building Cloudthread product, I actually was a practitioner within two big organizations. First one was Electronic Arts, and the second one was Lyft. At Electronic Arts, we were building, in-house cloud cost management process. And at Lyft, that was kind of like the same. So we were really, really focused on trying to streamline the processes by building internal tools and also, getting to use some external tools. So I got, a lot of ideas from those engagements. And today at Cloudthread, we are really trying to cater to the organization of similar, sizes with similar problems, essentially, like organizations that are very heavily involved in engineering processes, that have a lot of engineering teams, and that have a centralized cloud cost management team that I was part of, when I was working there. And the team has a lot of pains, essentially, to engage with engineers, especially at the frontier of usage optimization. As we all know, rate optimization, reservations, negotiation, all that usually doesn't really touch engineering teams and part of like some forecasting planning. But when it comes to usage optimization, that is a big pain. I've been feeling it a lot. When you're a cloud cost management professional, you usually don't have permissions to go and alter usage. You need engineering support. And here we are coming to the concept of distributed cloud cost ownership. That is the framework that addresses this very pain and all the issues that are coming from this pain. Essentially, you see here, like, it's pretty complex chart, to like at the first sight, but actually it's not that complex. What is happening in a modern organization that is not following distributed cloud cost ownership process, or they're just starting with FinOps and just like hasn't adopted any framework, there is usually a centralized FinOps team or the person who is really involved with cloud cost management. And that person gets a lot of inputs and analytics on what can be, optimized. And as the person, I just described, doesn't have permission to actually go ahead and optimize. That's why we're talking about usage optimization, right? Actually working with workloads. The person needs to reach out to a lot of different stakeholders, try to keep them accountable, get the information from them, and make sure that things happen, things get optimized, and then report it back to the management. That's usually the KPI of the team of that person. And this workflow is very inefficient because at the big organization where you have, let's say, like 50 different engineering teams, tracking each team is a pain. Each team can use, different communication tools. You need to talk to different people within each team. There can be multiple people you need to talk to, and so on and so forth. It's a very messy process. Distributed cloud cost ownership framework essentially addresses it by introducing or like suggesting to introduce an additional layer of organizational setup, which is called distributed cloud cost ownership layer. And essentially, it's kind of like very straightforward. Within each engineering team, you assign a distributed cloud cost owner, which is a virtual role. It can be a product manager within that team, or an engineering manager, or like some senior engineer. And that person becomes a point of contact for cloud cost management team. And that person becomes responsible for all the optimization tasks that coming the way of that engineering team. As simple as this. And just tweaking this resolves a lot of issues on the workflow and makes things much, much easier, and eventually saves much more, for the company. And essentially this chart shows that this middle layer here is essentially that distributed cloud cost ownership layer. And it becomes like this distribution center for engineers within each engineering team, who is like KPI'd on savings or optimization results, and then like make sure that the optimization tasks are coming from cloud cost management to actual engineers who implement them in time, that they get their place in engineering sprints and all those things that are usually very, very challenging for cloud cost management professionals themselves. So in order to set up this framework within your company, there are essentially 4 steps. And those steps we discussed in great detail with Vitaly last month. So again, I recommend to watch that video. And Vitaly describes how he went through each step at his organization. But, I will just summarize. The step number 0 is the org foundation. You need to get leadership buy-in. You need to create that virtual cloud cost owner role. You need to assign KPIs. So it is process first approach. Without that, nothing would work. Then once this foundation is in place, you get to the cycle: discover, deliver, track. On the discovery side, essentially, you are discovering the optimization opportunities. And it is good if there is a streamlined process around that, so you don't need to go to all different sources. There are many sources these days that can give you insight into what to optimize, especially on usage optimization side. So, but the first step is the discovery, and it is cloud cost management team that is involved in this step, right? So they're discovering optimization opportunities. By the way, this cycle has Steam as the main actor. Right, so that's what the work looks like for cloud cost management team within distributed cloud cost ownership framework. So the first step, discovery of optimization opportunities. Within the discovery, obviously there is an assessment piece where you kind of understand what the optimization opportunities are. You discard maybe some that are irrelevant or very, very small savings, noise, right? You also, within the step, assign priorities to optimization opportunities, because that is really important on the second step of this process, which is deliver step. On deliver step, you bundle optimization opportunities into mini projects, like optimization projects, and deliver them to engineering teams. That's where you interact with distributed cloud cost owners within each engineering team, and you use communication channels such as usually Jira service now, somewhat project management systems, or sometimes Slack, right, depending on the organization. But the key that within each engineering team, the person who you deliver those projects, and that person expects to get these projects from you and has very clear guidelines on when and how to deliver results on those projects. So there is an expectation set, in other words. On this step, deliver represents not only the piece when cloud cost management delivers to engineering side, all those user optimization projects, but also the delivery within engineering, right? Distributed cloud cost owner gets the project, then sends it to actual engineers to implementation, gets the feedback, from those engineers. Some communication happens within engineering team around the implementation tasks, right? And then the delivery of optimization happens. So within this step of the cycle, the delivery of optimization is also covered. It kind of covers 2 types of delivery here, right? And it's by design named that way. And finally, the final step of the cycle is track. Essentially, once the optimization is delivered, the cloud cost management team should be able to track the results, see the actual numbers, how much money was saved, also see reasons of inaction. In many cases, and many FinOps people who are listening to this or will be watching this are very familiar with the situation when you give some optimization project to your engineering counterpart. Sometimes happens and you get back the feedback that this optimization cannot be delivered because of, and then you have the list of reasons. So obviously, sometimes the reasons are very, very valid, right? There can be engineering constraints, there can be all kinds of different constraints. Sometimes they're not. Communication needs to happen in order to introduce optimization over these constraints that are not really relevant. But, like this is the usual process that everybody goes through. So it's very important on the tracking stage to be able to clearly see things that were done and also things that were not done and why they were not done. And then the reporting piece is very central. You need to gather all those insights and deliver that in form of report to your leadership, but not only to your leadership, also to the engineering teams themselves. And here we have the gamification component, which is this like feedback loop back to engineering teams where you show them, how they're doing on cost optimization side, and can create leaderboards, can create like some, kind of like the system where you give like some gifts, right, to the best engineering teams. And essentially you encourage certain behaviors by this type of gamification. And it's also, it is also part of this like tracking cycle. And then this cycle repeats. You continuously discover, deliver, and track. So just like any other process within FinOps domain, this is not a project-based thing. It's just like a continuous process, which is very important. Okay, so why distributed cloud cost ownership is important? Because it solves a lot of pains on FinOps side of chasing engineers, pains of tracking savings, pains of reporting optimization results, pains of motivation. On engineering side, for engineers, it kind of like solves the pain to fit optimization task into the sprints. Right now, there is a person on engineering side who is responsible for that with all the knowledge that they have. And also there is a pain to explain why certain things cannot be done. So within this framework, this is also getting resolved. Okay, now we're getting to the demo, and we'll have like good 15 minutes of demo just to show you again where Cloudthread fits into this framework. Essentially here you can see how distributed cloud cost ownership works with different tools. And here, a lot of things are getting replaced by Cloudthread. Essentially here at Cloudthread, we really, really try to build a tool that will support distributed cloud cost ownership at every stage of this cycle. Okay, now let's look into the platform and how it looks like. Awesome. I hope you can see my screen. I think I didn't change anything apart of just like opening Cloudthread. So everything should be fine here. And you can see Cloudthread console. Let me refresh it to see if I'm still logged in. Yes, okay, everything is great. So here we can see our Opportunities Explorer. This is usually an entry point to distributed cloud cost ownership cycle within our platform. Essentially, this is a central repository of optimization opportunities that Cloudthread is aggregating from various sources. We work with AWS, Google Cloud, Azure. We right now introducing Snowflake and Databricks, and our general vision that even if you use like whatever tool you use, right, and if it is connected to your cloud usage, right, and generating costs for you, right, and has like certain usage optimization opportunities in it, we want to be able to discover those and present them to you, cloud cost management professional, in a very convenient manner. So you shouldn't be, you shouldn't have to go to, like 10 different sources and, like aggregate optimization opportunities from them. You should have like a single dashboard a single list like here of all the optimization opportunities from various sources, and you should be able to search, to filter, to assign priorities, and essentially to kickstart that distributed cloud cost ownership cycle from this screen. And this is what you see here. Okay, here we have a lot of various optimization opportunities. And this is our demo environment. It's mostly focused on AWS. We have like some Google stuff here as well, but I think during this demo, we'll be focusing on mostly AWS. And let's say that you want today, that I want today to focus on infrastructure team. And I know that there is a very big team within our company called infrastructure, and that team hasn't been doing that great on cost side. By the way, our tool has also high-level cost visibility where you can see that data as well. This is some kind of must-have functionality these days for any cloud cost management tool, something like Cost Explorer. So you can have that information available to you from our tool as well. But let's say we already know that infrastructure team is spending a lot and it's not really optimal. So we have defined the infrastructure team on our platform. We have introduced a number of filters for infrastructure team that define that team. And by choosing that team and that drop down at the top, I am filtering all the opportunities by that team. Each opportunity in this list is at resource level. So it means that one opportunity equals one resource. And that's why, you can build pretty holistic filters there, on top of tags, on top of any metadata, right, available for each resource. Can be, account, region, service, and so on and so forth. So here we chose infrastructure team, and we are seeing all the opportunities that they have. And you see at the top, it's almost 100K monthly savings on the table for that team. That's a lot. And I'm looking at different opportunities and seeing that, okay, there is a lot. And I want, let's say, look into RDS. So I'm choosing category filter and choosing everything here that is related to RDS. Okay. Let's say I want to start with RDS, and I can see that the top two are reserved instances that we are getting from Cost Explorer. This is obvious savings, right? And obviously it's important to deliver that information to the team, but I really want to focus on usage optimization this time. And I would pick for the first batch of optimizations that I want to share with the team, these three things. RDS right sizing, right? It's 1.5K. Even though it's hard, probably requires some downtime, that can be pretty good savings per month, right? Probably there is an instance that is, too big and not really getting used. And then we have some RDS instances that could be a switch to Graviton, which could be pretty good savings as well, and usually quite easy change. So what I would do, I would, first of all, actually, let me look into each of those recommendations and see how relevant they are. This is the rich context, something that we call rich context. For each recommendation, essentially, we provide the context that will be helpful along each step of the distributed cloud cost ownership cycle. And this is intended to be like a one-stop shop to get all the data you need to implement the recommendation, essentially. Instead of going to the AWS console, for example, and looking at the charts on the database, we fetch all the data. In this case, it's CloudWatch, and show you all the charts, right? Then we actually give you the recommendation. You see, this is like downsizing to a very small instance size, right? We show you the cost. We give you all the resource details with IDs, with VPC groups, and like everything essential that we can get. This is more like engineering focused when they will be implementing it. And at the bottom, we give you an ability to show to see all the metadata on this particular recommendation, which is quite a big JSON that can be analyzed. So in this case, why the recommendation is given, because there is very little number of database connections to this database. And it's kind of very visible that it's over provisioned. So if we go back, let's now see something on Graviton. So, okay, it's like a backend instance, Aurora Postgres. You see all the charts are available to you and the recommendation to update it for Graviton. So, okay, I looked into that. I kind of made sure that the recommendations are looking good. And now I want to move to the next step of the cycle. I want to bundle these 3 recommendations and send them to a distributed cloud cost ownership persona on infrastructure team. Let me do it. So how Cloudthread deals with it? Essentially, I am choosing these 3 recommendations, and I want to create a new thread. So the thread is the word that we use for those optimization mini projects on Cloudthread platform. You see, I'm creating and I'm doing this RDS, infra optimization, right? Or let's do it like this, RDS optimization and something like this, infra team, right? Okay, I want to optimize RDS on infra side. So I did some example of the description. We see those opportunities that we have. If we want to edit on the go, it is still possible, right? We can add more opportunities. There's filtering available, but in this case, let's just create new thread with opportunities that we have chosen with these 3 opportunities. And now we have a kind of formatted mini project thread that has an open status, right? And that can be shared to actual engineering cloud cost owner. But how do we do it? So this is the key. Without Cloudthread, what usually would happen? You would discover some optimization opportunities. You would go to Slack or email or Microsoft Teams. You would write to some person in infrastructure team. You would put some link to the resource and say that, hey, I think that the resource is over provisioned, or it can be changed to Graviton. Could you look into that? And this how the usual process starts. You get some responses, from some people. You get kind of referred to different people. You need to track everything along the way, and at the end, it's super difficult to track. And in many cases, no savings achieved unless you're really following through. But if you have a lot of teams and a lot of recommendations, that becomes super challenging. But in this case, we have this box with recommendation that can be packaged and sent through known channels to known people if we have the distributed cloud cost ownership process set up. So how do we do it? Let's choose all the opportunities here and click Start Workflow. Start Workflow is essential integration with the project management software. Here we have integration with Jira for our demo environment. And let's choose Cloudthread infra project that exists on Jira side. Let's choose story. Let's choose myself as assignee. And I will put RDS, let's say demo as a description. And I click create Jira issue. obviously, this process works within distributed cloud cost ownership framework. So when you're assigning the Jira ticket, you need to know who you're assigning it to, right? And it should be that cloud cost owner. So essentially, that persona, right, the virtual cloud cost owner, that virtual role within each engineering team should have their own storyboard on Jira, for example, and they should, be monitoring it, be notified when something comes there. And this is the backbone of this whole process, right? From that, they distributing the Jira tickets to, the relevant engineers within their team and tracking the implementation. Now let's go into the Jira and look into the ticket that was created. Essentially, here it is, right? We have a ticket actually assigned as I chose myself. Let's imagine that I'm also the person, like the distributed cloud cost owner on the infra team. And the ticket is created for me. There is this rich context that is brought over to this ticket. So I can kind of like read it. I can go view everything on Cloudthread for this thread. And this is very useful because, I can actually go and, go into actual opportunity within that thread and then like see in a very convenient manner what's going on, right? So, and then there are two buttons here, right? Kind of like two links, approve and reject. So this step is called validation step. This is the very first stage of our workflow. On the engineering team side, the distributed cloud cost owner gets something from cloud cost management team. And the first task of that cloud cost owner is to validate if that task makes sense. In this case, engineering team is the kind of like subject matter expert, right? As a FinOps person, I kind of like see that something can be optimized, but I obviously don't see all the context. I create that mini project, send it to engineering cloud cost owner, and that person is empowered to review it, to talk to the engineers about it, right? And decide if, like this makes sense, or this optimization just, won't make it into any sprint anytime soon and should be postponed, archived, and so on and so forth. This should be the part of the process, and we call it like validation step. If the engineering cloud cost owner decides that this optimization goes forward, he can click here, approve. When approve is clicked, right, we process that information on our platform. And what happens, now let's go here and refresh. What happens is this mini project moves to implementation stage. That means that this was already green lighted for the implementation, and implementation work started. I, as the cloud cost management professional, can see this update on Cloudthread platform and can actually know that, okay, that's great. That project that I sent to the infrastructure team was moved to implementation. If the project is rejected, let's say, right, because there is like this button to reject, then, like it can be a signal to discuss it, right? The discussion happens, the discussion gets recorded as well. It can be recorded in the Jira ticket. It can be recorded within Cloudthread platform as well, right? You can, for each thread, right, you can have the description, like edit, you can add like more information, and we kind of like track communication on each step. So essentially, if things get rejected, you can talk and maybe, move it to validation step again. And, the goal is to, if the goal is to implement those optimization, then, like there can be multiple iterations here, right? And Cloudthread platform supports like those varying workflows. However, like once the validation is performed, maybe through multiple iteration, then implementation stage starts. And for implementation stage, the new Jira tickets get created. And this is the Jira ticket essentially for engineers. So this is the Jira ticket that is usually assigned by distributed cloud cost owner to actual engineers, and all the communication on specific, specific things on implementation side happens within this Jira ticket. Once things are done and verified that they're done, the distributed cloud cost owner can actually click done within this Jira ticket, and it will change the status on the Cloudthread platform to done. So let's do that. Okay. And here we go. We can see this as done. What this means on the platform, that we are actually preliminary marking this savings as achieved. Obviously, there is some reconciliation that should be happening, right? Like you can implement savings, then things can dynamically change, then certain savings can, because like obviously this number that we show is estimated savings, right? And the actual savings can be a bit different from the estimated savings. But once the optimization project is moved to the done stage, we are registering this estimated savings as done. And this can be seen on our savings dashboard, essentially. This is where we get into the tracking stage. This is the dashboard where Cloud Cost Management Professional, or if this dashboard is available by admin, like admin made it available to actual engineering teams, everybody can track what's going on, how many threads are open, are active, are rejected, right? Or total, how many things were done versus not done, right? So this chart actually shows it, how many savings we have realized versus how many savings are still on the table, right? And this is essentially the dashboard where you can see the progress and what's is out there, what's outstanding, how much savings we have in total, right? How much savings we have, how much we can save this month if we implement everything today, essentially, right? Because it's like total is the month, like entire month savings, but today is already like half month passed. So if we implement everything today, we will obviously save less within this month, right? So, and yeah, here, essentially, we can see like all the data on ongoing things that need attention. For example, this done thread, it will be reflected on this chart, right? But here you actually, won't see it, because if the thread is done, it doesn't really need attention. But we can go here, right, and filter for done threads, and here we will have this thread that was done. So we can see what happened, right? We can go in and actually observe it, right? And this is like part of tracking process. Another piece on tracking side is gamification, something that I mentioned. And on this side, we have something called leaderboard. That's where we can track, right, the savings of each team. And we see here, infra team just did like 33K savings, right? And it's current month, and it shows like as in progress savings. So, infra team got from the last place that was shared with data platform to like, one step higher. So this can be used for gamification purposes and for motivating teams to move with optimizations. So I know that we already like about 8 minutes over, and I think I showed you the gist. Obviously, there is much more that I would love to talk about. For example, how we can support like a lot of different teams, how we can support like complex team structure and set it up, how we work with other sources than just AWS, right? Google, Azure, Snowflake. But I think it will be great topics for later sessions. As I said, we will be having LinkedIn Live, or how we call it, Cloudthread Live, every month. And, we will be happy to share with you, all our updates, all great things that we've been working on. And also, we will be inviting some interesting guests, like Vitaly last month, for example, to talk about distributed cloud cost ownership, about usage optimization in general, and about FinOps. Okay, I really hope you enjoyed the session. If there are any questions, any questions or suggestions, let me stop sharing my screen and go to the console. Okay. Okay, I think we are like really over time right now. So if you have any questions, feel free to send them my way. I am always available and always happy to chat, to show you more, to talk specifics with you. And thank you so much for being with me today. The recording will be available right after the stream, I think. So we will put it on YouTube as well. Thank you so much, and see you next time.